What's going on, everybody? This is Shok, and this is going to be an extremely lazy video because I'm not on camera or anything like that. But I'm probably just going to have some footage rolling of, other M or something, or to show pictures and things of that nature. And hopefully this will be the last video I have to do regarding Ridley and Smash. But before I get started, I just want to give a shout out to my best friend Taylor Rose from the I believe it's either Super Smash Bros. Discussion or Super Smash Bros. Wii U discussion. I forget the name. Facebook group where I pretty much got kicked out because he called me a casual smasher, and so then he started telling me how he's been to tournaments and stuff, and I asked him how he, what did he place in those tournaments, and I asked him to link me some videos at these tournaments because the tournaments he listed were tournaments that get live streamed. You see what I'm saying? Such as Skatar and Wobo, things of that nature. But he kept dodging. He wouldn't tell me. He wouldn't tell me his placings. And I also challenged him to PM online. He said only casuals challenge people online. Now that probably would be the case. You'd be right if you were talking about Brawl. But a lot of the time PMs online is actually pretty good. And I was talking about PM. But yeah, so he pretty much sidestepped the questions. Sidestepped the challenge. And he called me a casual Smash player, but he plays Brawl, people. The game that Sakurai himself said was for casuals and newcomers. But I play Melee and PM, and I'm the casual. But anyways, shout out to my nigga Taylor. Let's talk about Ridley. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys saw Felicia Fan's video. But what Felicia Fan won't tell you is that everything he has already said, I handled in the live debate with him. But for some reason, Twitch did not record that debate. Either it didn't record or it got flagged down or something. But that debate, for some reason, is not on my Twitch. But anybody who caught my Twitch can tell you that every point that he put in his video was already handled. But I'm going to take this time out to lay everything out. Just, pretty much handle every single argument I've been seeing. First, let's start with the comparisons they do with the other characters. Like, oh, well, it worked with this character and it worked with that character, right? So it could work with Ridley. First off, people know, with these kinds of things, you have to do it from a character to character basis. Because what works with one character, that doesn't mean that that thing is also going to work with another. See what I'm saying? For instance, character anatomy. If this character's anatomy wouldn't just look right being shrink down, then you can't say, oh, well, look, this other humanoid character, such as, Olimar, he changed his size. So that means you could change the size, the size of this skinny neck, dragon looking thing with big ass wings and a 10-foot tail. You see what I'm saying? The same principles do not apply. You can't do that. But let's say that's not good enough, whatever. Let me deal with the whole Bowser and Olimar thing again. Bowser has always fluctuated in size. Always. Always, 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 always. He has been the size he has been in plenty of Mario games. Now, if you look at games like Super Mario World, and you look at games, like Super Mario 64, where he's at the smallest, state he was in. Yes, he was a little bit bigger than he is in the Smash series. But it's not as drastic as a change that you guys are talking about you want from Ridley. You see what I'm saying? And that's another thing. A lot of people are like, oh, well, this character got resized. That character got resized. Yeah, those characters got resized by, a couple of inches, couple of feet or whatever. Right? You see what I'm saying? You guys are talking about taking a 20-foot plus dragon looking motherfucker and making him 8 feet. Right? That makes... You can't do that. You can't do that. But yes, as I said before, I've made this point. Ridley has always been the same size. Now everybody likes to say, no, his size has fluctuated. Yes, people, his size has fluctuated a couple of inches. You see what I'm saying? Different iterations of him have been a little bit, smaller or bigger, but the changes aren't even drastic enough to even mention them, right? It's negligible, right? There's no point of even bringing it up. Because if you say, oh, well, look, in this one, in this game, he was 25 feet. Now he's 23. That's still in the 20s. You see my point? It doesn't make a difference. So when I say that Ridley has been the same size, I'm saying he has been the same size in the sense that any differences aren't even worth mentioning because they're just that small. Not to mention that, you know, a lot of time it's not the same Ridley. You see what I'm saying? It's either a reborn Ridley, or it's, you know, Meta Ridley, or it's, you know, Omega Ridley, or it's a clone of him. See what I'm saying? So there's been different Ridleys, which would kind of make sense. You know, the whole small fluctuations of sizes. That's probably why that has happened, or because it's been done by different teams or whatever. But probably due to the fact that it's been different Ridleys. But he's been consistently huge. He's been at least 3 times as tall as Samus in all of these games. You see what I'm saying? Again, the only reason why he was small in the first one, people, was because of hardware limitations. That is it. And if you could go back to a lot of other NES games, right, where bosses would be just the size of the main character, you see what I'm saying? But then, right when the developers get some hands on some stronger hardware, all of a sudden, they're big as hell. Plain and simple. So Ridley has always been the same size. He's always been the same size. I repeat, he has always been the same size after the original. Bowser has always fluctuated, people. And that goes for, you know, Super Mario World. He's almost kind of in that, you know, Smash size, you know, whatnot. In the first 3 on the NES, of course, you know, he's been the same size, whatever. And yes, you could use my argument that, you know, oh, it was hardware limitations. But at the same time, when you have future games where he's pretty much that same size again, you know, you could pretty much say that, yeah, that's what the size that Nintendo wanted him at that time and place. So that wasn't hardware limitation. You see what I'm saying? That's the difference. Stop using Bowser as a point. They're not the same character. Bowser has always fluctuated. Ridley has not. And back to the first video, right, where I made the whole turtle versus dragon comparison. Yeah, you know, I'm aware that sounded silly, but it had a point. There was a point there. I was talking about anatomy, but a lot of you guys didn't catch that. Like I said, turtles' anatomy, right, and their proportions, those are much, much more easily scalable than something like Ridley, where he has a long-ass neck, a long-ass tail. You know, he's skinny but big at the same time. Then he has these big-ass wings. So I'm saying there's a lot more going on there. That's what I was saying with the whole turtle versus dragon-like thing comparison in that first video I had done. But that's enough about Bowser. Now let's get to Olimar. I've said this once, I'll say it again. Olimar, first off, has no other person in the Pikmin franchise that is in Smash Bros. To compare his size to. One, or if not the main point I always make about Ridley's resizing, right, is the fact that if you resize Ridley, you're going to have him standing right next to Samus, right? He's going to be in the same game as Samus. So we go from over 25 years of having a set size between Samus and Ridley, right? And then all of a sudden, they shrink them to make Ridley the same size, and we see them standing right next to each other, and they're the same goddamn size? Guys, no. That doesn't work. That doesn't make any sense. Olimar has nobody in his universe that is big as hell, right? Bigger than him, that they put in Smash, and now the proportions are completely off. You know what I'm saying? That's one point. Secondly, like I stated earlier, he is a humanoid. He is a humanoid. Like I said, human proportions, that goes with anatomy, right? Human proportions, human anatomy is easily scalable. It's easily altered without looking weird. A small human doesn't look weird. A big human doesn't look weird, right? Plain and simple. It's as easy as that. You cannot. That's why I'm saying you cannot use a one-size-fits-all logic thing for when it comes to these characters in Smash or whatever, because every character is different. The franchises they come from are different. They're different. You can't do it. One shoot does not fit all. It doesn't, people. It does not. The problem is that when you look at pictures or footage, you see Ridley being 3 times minimum the size of Samus, right? Tall, I'm talking about height, whatever, like 3 times at minimum, right? Samus is 6'3". 3 times 6, of course, is 18. 9 inches is what Ridley would be at minimum. You cannot all of a sudden take off 10 feet from him. You see what I'm saying? You cannot do that, people. And going back to Felicia Fan, for those of you who may not have seen the debate, I asked him, what would you say to me if I wanted Mother Brain to be a playable character in Smash, right? And he said, you can't do that. And I asked him why. And you know what he said? He said, you can't do that because Mother Brain's size is part of her character. It's part of who she is and what makes her so intimidating. Now, people, is that not the same goddamn thing you could say about Ridley? Leader of the Space Pirates, killer of Samus's parents, destroyer of her whole entire freaking colony, right? An immortal enemy that she has been battling since the dawn of time. His size is part of who he is. I don't see how somebody could sit here like Felicia Fan and say size is part of who Mother Brain is, but size isn't part of who Ridley is. You see what I'm saying? You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to have it both ways. If you're going to say size is part of who Mother Brain is, you have to say the same for Ridley. It's the same thing. He was saying, oh, but Mother Brain played such an important role in shaping who Samus is in the Metroid story. And I was looking at this dude completely confused because everything he was saying can be applied to Ridley. And that's why I asked him that question, because I wanted him to say himself the reason why Ridley should not be resized in the way that you guys are asking for him to be resized. Period. 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 Oh, and going back to Bowser, another thing is, by the time he was put into Melee, we've seen him that size plenty of times in a lot of, the spin-off Mario games, things of that nature, and, Mario World. So we've been acclimated to that size Bowser before he actually got put into Melee. See what I'm saying? So that's another reason why nobody was complaining about his resizing, is because we already got used to him being that size before, because we saw him in that size before plenty of times. So stop with Bowser. Olimar, already discussed. Another thing about Olimar is that you can make the argument that, oh, everybody was shrunk down to Olimar's size. You see what I'm saying? That's how much, because when you don't have that scale, that it goes back to the whole scale, right? There's nobody in Smash that comes from Olimar's universe, and he's a humanoid, so he could be whatever the fuck they need to, how big they need to make him be. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about the proportions between him and another character or whatever, and things of that nature. You don't have to do that. With Samus and Ridley, we do. Ridley is big as shit, people. Ridley could hold Samus in the palm of his hand. Samus can fit into Ridley's mouth. And let me clear something up right now, guys. I understand that Ridley deserves to be in Smash. He does deserve, right? Because he's Samus's arch nemesis. I agree with you guys there. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in there because he doesn't deserve it. I'm saying he shouldn't be in there because he doesn't work. There's a difference between somebody who deserves to be in there and somebody who just simply doesn't work. There is a difference. I agree with you wholeheartedly. If anybody deserves to be in Smash in the Metroid universe, it's Ridley. But his physical size does not work. Dark Samus would be a much better match, especially since the fact that we need more villains in the roster. Period. 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 And it's just sad I have to explain these things, because to me personally, it really just feels like common sense things that shouldn't have to be explained, but apparently they do. But more points I want to bring up. Felicia Fan he's still acting like he's not going to be a stage hazard. Tell me why during the update where the Pyrosphere got announced, right? Sakurai said, be careful, an enemy from Samus's past might appear at any time. He said that on the status of a reveal of a Metroid stage, and that stage being the Pyrosphere, which is where you fought Ridley and Other M. Yes, people, he didn't flat out say Ridley is a stage hazard, but stop reaching for straws, stop being so desperate. You know damn well that means he's a stage hazard. It's a stage where you fought Ridley. There's a hole in the stage that Sakurai, classifies as gigantic. I wonder what is supposed to come out of that hole. He's a stage hazard, people. He's a stage hazard. Also, another point, he was already in Brawl. They already have a smash size Ridley. He's still big enough to hold Samus in his hand, like he actually did in the cutscene of the Subspace Emissary, and grind her against the wall. If he's too small to hold Samus in his hand, okay, in the palm of his hand, if he is too small to where Samus could not fit in his mouth, he don't need to be in the game, people. But Sakurai has already established a size for Ridley, and you guys are still fighting. You're still fighting when his size has already been established in the Smash games. You see what I'm saying? Already been established. Not to mention that, wait a minute, Sakurai actually made a Ridley character model and gave him a moveset, but decided to not make him a character. I wonder why Sakurai decided not to make Ridley a character when he already had an actual character model made for Ridley with animations and things of that nature. All he had to do was make him smaller, alter a few things, maybe give him some more moves or whatever, and bam, he could have been the character. But obviously Sakurai deliberately chose to keep him as a boss. The point I'm making here is, if you guys don't get it, is that Sakurai himself is like, hey, he's too big to be a boss character. I mean, to be a playable character. Period. Period, period, period. You guys have to realize that if you're going to have Ridley as a playable character, you're going to have 4 of him on the stage, and that is just not going to work. Anybody who has played Project M that has done a 4-way Giga Bowser match can tell you that. Hell, even when you have a match where it's 4 Bowsers, normal size, 4 DKs, right? 4 DDDs on Final Destination, even that, at that size, kind of feels clunky. You see what I'm saying? Imagine a character bigger than that, 4 of them, where they have 10-foot tails, large wingspans, right? Big ass heads and long necks. And I understand the whole, oh, well, he could be crouched over thing, which is true. He could be crouched over but on the ground. But the minute Ridley is sprinting, or the minute Ridley jumps or whatever, his body is going to be unfolded, people. His wings are going to expand. His tail isn't going to be curled up, right? When he's dashing forward, he's probably going to be stretching his neck out. That would take up so much space. Like when Ridley moves, he would take up the whole entirety, almost a Final Destination, right? With the tail stretched out back, the wings out, the neck out. It wouldn't work, people. His anatomy does not work. So that's pretty much all the points I wanted to talk about. Like I said, guys, I'm a Metroid fan as well. I'm a hardcore Metroid fan. And that's the thing that confuses me, because a lot of people ask for Ridley are Metroid fans, and I'm just wondering how you call yourself a Metroid fan and you want the proportions between 2 arch nemesis, right? You want that distorted. And you call yourself a fan. That doesn't make any sense to me, people. If you were really a fan, you should want the, and this might sound silly, but you should want the sanctity of their comparative sizes to stay normal, to stay constant. Plain and simple. But that's it this video, y'all. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.